Thank you very much for coming. Honored to be here. It's a delight to see so many people think about this subject that I've been thinking about for years. I'll start at the beginning. 10 years ago I had a very heavy psychosis where I eventually thought that I was the Messiah. Collins syndrome. When I came out of it, it lasted for more than 10 months. And when I came out of it, it was such a relief. Actually, the first thing I thought was, wow, this was such a crazy story. I have to write a book about this. And basically, I've been brainstorming for 10 years how to put it into words. And I finally did it. The book is coming out in February. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous. It's the first time I talk about my book for a full room. What I like about being here is that, for me, I didn't just become the Messiah. It didn't happen in one day. Basically, I was experimenting with a form that I would call magic, actually. The title of my book is The Magician. I was a big I Ching enthusiast. How I started my book, I would consult the I Ching every day. It became a friend. It's an old Chinese Taoistic oracle. At a certain point, I stopped using it in the regular way. I just opened it as random pages, and they also gave me beautiful insights. The next step actually was to try if I could do it with other books. You know, if I had a question, I would just open a random book and open it, and I also got answers to questions I had. I was stunned in the beginning, and it was like, Jung calls it synchronicity, of course. The next step was actually, I thought, maybe I don't need all these books. Maybe I can just ask the universe directly. Studying tarot and I Ching, you learn how to interpret symbols. And I started asking questions to the universe and interpreting them in a symbolic way. Suddenly, everything that I experienced, it had a meaning. I could ask questions. All I needed to do was just to interpret reality in this magical way. Find the symbolism in everything that you experience. It could be the simplest thing. But this gradually, like in the meanwhile, I was developing actually my psychosis. I suffered from paranoid hallucinations that started very innocent. So at the same time I was at this spiritual quest, and at the same time I thought I was becoming famous. And then in the end, when I thought I was super famous and I thought I found the ultimate answer, I heard on the radio that the Pope said on his deathbed that I found a way to communicate with God, and I was the new Messiah, and I turned on the television, and there was a hype on TV. Every channel was about me, the Son of God is returned. I spent months just sitting in front of the TV like, holy shit. I was really scared because I thought, wow, what are these people thinking? I'm not the Messiah, or that's bullshit, you know. But I became scared because I thought, wow, you know, maybe they will fucking, kill me because they think I'm the Messiah, so I have to deliver, you know. So this whole process basically I described in my book, written about my own experience. After I came out of it, the medication helped to get me out of it. You know, I had one reality check. After that, I just noticed that I had paranoid auditive hallucinations. But at the same time, it was so meaningful, and I still do it every day. You know, so I can have do anything like in the house, or I still use this magic. So I'm looking forward to put this book into the world. Also, I studied anthropology. I started studying anthropology because I read Carlos Castaneda, and I had experiences with a shaman in Peru. It was mind-blowing. And then after my psychosis, I really lost touch with all spirituality. I had such that I didn't want to, you know, I had nothing to do with it anymore because I just wanted to be normal and function. But then I really rediscovered my fascination for esotericism and spirituality. I did a minor in Hermetica, the history of Western esotericism. And I found that a lot of my own beliefs, I found they were confirmed by all these ancient teachings. So I decided to rewrite the book and make up that I was doing a minor while I was becoming psychotic. So I had some cool references to so I cheated a little bit. But it helped the story a lot. Yeah, I finished my anthropology study, cultural anthropology. I finished the bachelor a few years ago. And I always had the dream of making an anthropological film about this subject because I found out that so many different cultures have different explanations for these symptoms, and maybe it's a matter of cosmology. Film beat me to it, I already said that. But yeah, still it's a fascinating subject, and I think what's so interesting about the psychotic experience when it comes to spirituality, I think the psychotic experience is an involuntary psychedelic experience, actually. It's an involuntary hallucination. And there's no place for that in our culture, people I think don't realize maybe the full potential that we have and our consciousness has. And we need space to investigate that. I think like the ancient Greeks, they had mystery religions. And it was they took psychedelics similar to LSD. And it was very common for them to do that at least once in your life, to experience other worlds. Our brain produces DMT. It's a very powerful psychedelic substance. Basically, you produce it when you are dreaming. So every night we have a psychedelic experience. But when it happens in the awakened state, it becomes a problem. Especially because people around don't understand. And there's no place for it. So maybe that's my conclusion. I recommend everybody to do psychedelics. Especially, I think it helps you to, if you deal with people who are psychotic and completely cut off from reality. I think they're stuck between realities, actually. I think, psychedelic can really help, can be a powerful tool to experience other states of consciousness. Sorry, I have to wrap it up. There's also a movie about me coming out. 10 years later, taking hardcore antipsychotics for 10 years. And how I used music to deal with my diamonds, I call them. My voices. So I'm going to play a little bit of sarangi, Indian instrument.
Wonderful. Do you need a chair or are you alright?
No, I like the level.
You like it?